had one thing in common: avoiding emotion. So I don't know what I was thinking. Clearly I wasn't thinking when I just blurted it out. I was finishing up a conversation with my father on the phone. He was 85, a few years retired, and I just blurted it out. "Goodbye, Dad. I love you." Now, this may not seem very strange to you, but at that very moment it occurred to me that my father had never said those words to me. Now, unlike the movies, my father did not melt. He did not burst open from my outpouring of love. He did not even smile. He just said, "Yeah, ditto." I said, "Yeah, ditto, what is that supposed to mean, Dad?" He said, "No, ditto." "No, Dad, what does that mean?" You know, I don't want to say it. And let him off the hook this time. But this bantering back and forth became a regular routine of the endings of our conversations. But our overall rhythm of our conversations also had a way about them. It would go like this. We would talk about his tennis game, his bowling game, his emphysema, and his breathing. At which point, he would very distinctly turn the conversation back to me. Enough about him, what about me? And this part of the conversation would go something like this: "How's your car running? How's your social life? Any work on the fire?" Now let me decode that for you. How's your car running? A very important topic to my father, who thought that any car that had any more than 60,000 miles on it was a piece of crap. How's your social life? This was Daddy speak to ask me if I had any hot dating prospects. Any work on the fire? He'd always say the softness that my mother wouldn't hear. This was code to ask me for a brief report of my financial status and to see if a clandestine money transfer was necessary. At which point we'd go to the closing statements. "Yeah, okay, so long." "Goodbye, Dad. I love you." Yeah, same here." "Come on, Dad. It's not going to kill you to say it." You know what I mean. We were sitting 1,000 miles apart from each other. I was in Massachusetts, he was in Florida. I was cracking up, he was cracking up, and I could see him as if he was sitting right in front of me with his big ears and nose turning beet red. "Come on, Dad. Come on, I want to hear you say it." "Oh, leave me alone already. You're nuts, you know that. And besides, I can't. I don't want Mom to hear me say it." He was serious. I said, "Oh no, you wouldn't want to show any emotion in front of her, all right?" He said, "That's right." But at that very moment, my mother actually caught on to what was going on, and I could hear her in the background saying, "Good luck getting him to show any emotion." But when she left the room, the voice on the other side of the line said, "Yeah, okay, I love you." He was cracking up all right, but he was also cracking open. One year on Father's Day, I said, "You know, Dad, I was going to give you a card that said, 'I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you.'" "That's your line." I said, "No, Dad, that's your line." Yeah, that's okay. So long, good night." But he knew he was cornered. My mother was in the room with him, I was on the line, and in front of my mother, he said, "Yeah, okay, I love you. You see, I said it." And I hear my mother in the background saying, "I can't believe it. I gave him a big kiss for you." Now there came a time when I realized what I had done. "Goodbye, Dad. I love you. I love you. You know I do. I always have. I always will. I love all my kids. You know that." And as I hung up the phone, I realized that the crack had opened fully. When my dad turned 90, we had a big surprise party for him. It was perfect. And when it was my turn to give my testament to him, I fumbled through some words I had on the paper, but I didn't need a script for the grand finale. "Okay, Dad, are you ready? This is what we've been practicing for. We've been practicing all this time. Are you ready?" He nodded his head. He knew exactly what I meant. "I love you, Dad. I love you. And let me tell you, folks, that room exploded with a burst of energy as 50 people witnessed this opening in my father. No explanations needed. They knew my dad. And I have to tell you that the conversation continues today, even a year and a half after my father's last days on this earth. Only now, I talk to the moon. And it's as if the light reflecting off the moon fills the empty places in my heart. And as I walk along, sometimes I can hear my dad whisper in my ear, "I love you. I always have. I always will."